generate this file for us. Very, very efficient. And boom, no error. So it appears over here, a complete AI agent generated from scratch. This is where it can break, and it probably will break now.
Hello, my name is Julia. How can I help you today?
Dental clinics have a busy schedule. Answering the phone is not always possible, but that's exactly what brings patients in. And we have solved this with voice AI. The best part, this AI agent is built by AI itself. It is completely generated based on my specification. Give me the next 30 minutes and I'm going to build this live for you. It books appointments, changes bookings, and cancels appointments. The whole package basically. While most AI agents out there are stuck at the booking step, and for good reason, because it requires complex juggling between API calls and record IDs. But this agent does everything. You will get the complete breakdown step by step of how to configure this agent inside Retell, which is a conversational design tool, after it was generated, over to building a complete backend with Airtable, which is a database containing the patients, services, and the appointments connected in real time to the AI agent, plus a complete calendar booking system, cal.com, that automatically sends invites to the doctors' and patients' calendars. And finally, I will show you how to buy a phone number and connect it to this AI agent so your prospects reach it tomorrow. In the next half an hour, I will first show you a demo, and then we will do a conversational design in Miro. We will look high level at how the conversational flows inside of the agent work. After that, I will give you a walkthrough through the Retell platform that teaches you the basics, because you will need them to adjust the generated AI agent. Then we will create a prompt and generate the Retell JSON file that is the code of the agent, if you like. So this cuts 90% of your development time. We will also use the same technique to generate a specification in Airtable. It will generate all the tables inside the database. Then I will show you how to test the agent via text and voice inside of Retell. And finally, I will walk you through Twilio and show you exactly how to buy and connect a phone number inside Retell. But first, why don't we just call this AI agent and see what it says?
Hello, this is Next Dental Care. You've reached the scheduling desk. My name is Julia. How can I help you today?
And we will follow what's happening live inside the appointments table and inside the calendar, where you can see how it books the appointments in real time. Hey, I'd like to ask about your services, especially teeth whitening or teeth cleaning. What have you got there?
We offer teeth whitening, which takes about 60 minutes and costs 350 euros. We also have routine cleaning lasting 45 minutes for 150 euros. Would you like to book one of these now?
Yeah, sure. Let's go with the routine cleaning, please.
Great choice. When would you like to come in for your routine cleaning? Please tell me the date and time that works best for you.
Well, how about we do it on Tuesday in the afternoon? Let's target 1 p.m.
For Tuesday afternoon, I can offer you these times for your routine cleaning: 1:30 p.m., 2 p.m., or 2:30 p.m. Which one works best for you?
Oh, great. Let's go 1:30 p.m. then.
Perfect. To book your routine cleaning on Tuesday, September 30th at 1:30 p.m., may I have your full name, please?
Of course, my name is Robert Hangu.
Thanks, Robert. Could you please provide your phone number?
Of course, it's +41 126 501 334.
Thank you. And your email address, please?
Yeah, it's robert.hangu@gmail.com.
Thanks, Robert. I have you registered now. Next, I will book your routine cleaning for Tuesday, September 30th at 1:30 p.m. Your routine cleaning is booked for Tuesday, September 30th at 1:30 p.m. local time. The price is 150 euros. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, you've helped me a lot. Thank you very much then, and I think I'll see you then.
Thank you for choosing Next Dental Care, Robert. We look forward to seeing you on September 30th at 1:30 p.m. Have a great day.
Cheers, bye-bye. And it hung up. So I've showed you briefly whilst we were talking the updates that it did inside Airtable, where we can see that it created a new patient entry. So this is my patient entry details, my phone number and my email address. And then it correctly quoted the services, all right, where it said, okay, routine cleaning, how much time it takes, teeth whitening, and so on. And then it created the appointment inside the appointments table, which is the CRM, so to speak, where the dentist can later come and see what's next this week or on that day. At the same time, it created a calendar booking here, which basically contains both the dentist and myself. Well, in this case, it's the same person, it's myself. And it also considered the time zone correctly. Now, if I am the patient, I can see this and know when my appointment is due, and the dentist can see all the details over here. But this was just the first part. Now let's say I want to reschedule this appointment, and let's say I want to place it from Tuesday where it's now on Thursday. Let's see what it says.
Hello, this is Next Dental Care. You've reached the scheduling desk. My name is Julia. How can I help you today?
Hey Julia, I want to reschedule my appointment.
Sure, I can help with that. May I have your full name, please?
Of course, it's Robert Hangu.
I couldn't find any appointment under the name Robert Hangle. Would you like to create a new appointment instead?
Maybe I've misspelled it. It's Robert Hangu. 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 Can you look again, please?
I found your appointment on September 30th, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. local time. Would you like to reschedule this one?
Yeah, let's go with it.
Great. What date and time would you like to reschedule your appointment to?
I can do Thursday morning at 10 a.m. How's that for you?
Thursday, October 2nd, 2025 at 10 a.m. is available. Should I reschedule your appointment to that time?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Your appointment is now rescheduled for Thursday, October 2nd, 2025 at 10 a.m. local time. Anything else I can help you with?
No, that's it. Thanks a lot. You were really quick with that. I'll see you on Thursday then. Bye-bye.
Thank you for choosing Next Dental Care. Have a great day and see you on Thursday. Goodbye.
And it hung up. So now we can see here inside of Airtable that my appointment was rescheduled. So it was marked as rescheduled, and the new date was also correctly changed. So it's now the 2nd of October, which is a Thursday at 10 a.m. Exactly what I said. And also inside my calendar, it was rescheduled. Now let's say I want to cancel this appointment. So I will cancel the same appointment and I will call it. Let's see what it says.
Hello, this is Next Dental Care. You've reached the scheduling desk. My name is Julia. How can I help you today?
Hi, Julia. I'm afraid I can't make it to my appointment, so I would like to cancel it, please.
I can help with that. May I have your full name, please?
Of course, it's Robert Hangu.
Thanks, Robert. I found your record. Let me check your upcoming appointment. You have an appointment scheduled for October 2nd, 2025 at 10 a.m. local time. Would you like me to cancel this one?
Yeah, that's the one I'd like to cancel, please.
I will proceed with canceling your appointment on October 2nd, 2025 at 10 a.m. Just a moment, please. Your appointment on October 2nd, 2025 at 10 a.m. has been canceled. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, you were really quick in doing this. Thanks a lot, and I'm very sorry for this one. That's it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a great day and take care. Goodbye.
And it hung up. So basically we can see here what happened is that it marked the appointment as cancelled inside Airtable, okay? And at the same time, it deleted it from my calendar, right? So when cal.com cancels an event, it will be deleted from your calendar. And this is very practical because now the patient knows, okay, there is no upcoming event. The calendar is free. Other events can be scheduled there. It happens the same in the calendar of the dentist, and then the dentist can see here for their record that basically this person has canceled an appointment, but the appointment will still remain there. Obviously they can filter it, and at the same time the patient data will still remain untouched over here in case the patient will call again or changes their mind. So the first step is done, and we can dive now straight in with building this. We will use Miro to design the conversation flow, which is a tool that allows you to draw rectangles and every type of whiteboarding type of exercise. So we will start with the first block that will be greeting and query selection. So this is the step where the AI agent first picks up and asks about how they can help the patient. And from here we have two states that follow. The first one is, let's say the patient wants to query the services. So they want to know, okay, how can you help me? What type of dental services do you have? What are the prices and so on? And then the next step is a preliminary step that goes into booking an appointment, respectively updating and deleting an appointment. So we will have these two steps here. We will call this step get new details and update appointment, and this one delete appointment. Now, in order to do this, we first have to identify the patient, okay? So this we will do in this step beforehand, which we will call identify patient. Now we will call these steps B1 and B2 and B3 respectively. So broadly speaking, these are the two big branches that we will have the AI agent cover, okay? And from the query services, we will have one more step. Let's say that, for example, the patient wants to book something here. So we will call this A2, book appointment, and all three of them will end into a final step that is called end conversation. So this is when the patient has nothing else to discuss, and basically all the states end in this state. So we will draw arrows to this final state. And of course, we can also have the query services step end in the end conversation step. For example, if the patient just was curious to compare prices or to see what the services of this dentist are. We will also name the transitions accordingly so that we know in which case they will trigger. So this one will be create appointment, so that we know, okay, this transition will trigger if the patient wants to create an appointment, and the one below will trigger in the case we want to update or delete an appointment. Later on, these are important to be mapped inside of Retell. Now, the other transitions here will happen in the case of updating and deleting the appointment. So this one will happen in the case of update an appointment, and this one will happen in the case of delete an appointment. And the one from query services to book appointment will happen in the case of wants to book an appointment. And then the final transitions, all of these here happen if there is nothing else that the patient wants to add. So we just name them nothing else to quickly know what they're about. Okay, so far so good for the transitions. Now we need to add the tools, all right? So these are just broadly speaking the transitions, but each step here needs separate access to different tools, okay? So for example, when we talk about getting appointment details, updating the details, creating appointments, we need to access our database or the database of the dental clinic, and at the same time the calendar, both of the dental clinic and of the patient. Now we will do this by having a central database in Airtable. So we will put this database over here to make it accessible from all states. We will pull this little state over here called database, and we will rename it into Airtable. So this is basically the database. And then we will also have an API access over here, which will be the cal.com API, which we will call like this, cal.com. Now, we will have to think about which steps and which stages need access to which of these tools, Airtable or cal.com. And both the query services and the identify patient steps both need access to Airtable. And why is that? The query services needs it because the services are stored in Airtable. So all the services that the clinic offers, all right? And then the identify patient also requires them because all the patient data is stored in Airtable as well. And in order to know what these accesses are about, we will name them accordingly. So the one that queries services, we will name read services, and the one that queries the patient data, we will conveniently name search patient get appointment, including Cal ID. So why is the Cal ID important? This is the ID that the calendar entry will be stored inside cal.com. I will show you this in a second. So I make these arrows outwards from the Airtable to the states, meaning that data is being read from the database. So basically it flows from the database into each of these stages. Now, once that's done, we will continue over here to finish the upper branch. So when we book an appointment, the data goes the other way. So it goes from the state into the database, which means the AI agent writes data into Airtable, and we will call this step write appointment. At the same time, this step requires a second write into the API of cal.com. So we will draw an arrow here as well. And we're going to call this step create booking. Now, booking and appointment are two different words, right? Just for the sake of simplicity, we will call appointment everything that goes into Airtable and booking everything that goes into cal.com. And the reason is that this is just the name that is being used inside of the APIs of these tools. Then the upper branch ends in the end conversation. So basically, this is one step that we went through, okay? And these are the tools that we will use to connect with. If we continue with the lower branch with the updating appointment and deleting appointment steps, we will have a connection here in the get new details and update appointment, right? So in this step, you have to imagine that the AI agent has to ask the database, okay, when is the current appointment scheduled? Oh, all right. And then at the same time, after that, update the appointment with the new availability. And for the availability, it also needs a connection to cal.com. So let's go step by step. So the first step would be to get the availability from cal.com, right? So this will be the new availability, which we will put inside of here. And we'll call this step get new availability. So once the AI agent knows when a different time is free for the dentist, it can return this to the patient. So it will say something like, okay, the availability is, let's say, Wednesday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., for example. And once the patient selects one of these times, it will write the new data into both Airtable and the Cal API. So that means we will need a connection from this state into Airtable, which we will call update appointment. So that means that the current appointment that was written last time will be renamed. I mean, the time slot will be changed, the time. And then at the same time, another one will be written here. So it will be updated in cal.com as well. So we'll take this arrow and we will create two ends to it. So, and then we rename this edge into get new availability and update booking. Previously, I said that at this step, it also needs to get the time of the current appointment, but this is not the case because we will do this here in the step get appointment. So in the identify patient step, when we gather the details from the Airtable API, we will both have the time of the appointment and the details of the appointment and the patient in general, right? Because the appointment will be something like, okay, patient name, type of intervention, and the date. So this is all gathered here. So in this step, it's all about finding a new time and updating the respective appointments in both the Cal API and Airtable. Now, if we go to the step below it, in the delete appointment step, what we need to do here is we need to delete the booking both inside of Airtable and inside of the Cal API. And for this, we need just one data direction. So basically, we will just need to write data into it. So here we have one arrow that goes into the Airtable API, and then the other arrow will go inside the cal.com API. Both of them will delete the respective appointments. So we'll name this one delete appointment, and the one that goes into the Cal API we will call cancel booking. Now this is our final conversation design. This looks very good. So we can mark this step as done inside of our step. We just did the conversation design in Miro. And now I will show you a quick walkthrough through the Retell platform before we go into generating the file, so that you understand what Retell is made of and how you can build a conversational flow there from zero. But I won't build this particular flow here from zero. For this, I have another video that you can click up here in the upper right corner to see basically how I built this from zero. But just to recap the basics, I will quickly show you this. So we go to retell.com, which is called retelai.com, and it is a conversational flow builder. And this is how the front page looks like. Then you will click join login. So this is basically you create an account here if you don't have one already. This is how the dashboard looks like, and then you will click create an agent, then you click create voice agent, and we will work with the multi-prompt agent. So then you click start from blank. What's the difference between all of these agents? Well, a conversational flow agent is very detailed. That means you can specify each single step, including each tool call very, very precisely. Okay, this is for very important, or let's say tasks where the conversation is very rigid. Single prompt agent is the complete opposite. It is very freestyle. You just specify the system prompt, and then the AI agent has access to all the tools, and it will use its own logic to go through all the steps. Of course, you prompt it as well, but it is prone to hallucinations. And to counteract that, we use the multi-prompt agent, which allows you to specify broad categories, broad states where the AI agent will walk through. And there you can also specify tools access for each stage so that it's not completely to the will of the AI agent. And then costume LLM, basically here you can define your own LLM with your own thing, maybe if you run it in the cloud, in your own private cloud, but we won't have a look into this. So we will go with multi-prompt agent, click start from blank, and click create. Now this is how the builder looks like, and this is the first screen where here we specify the system prompt. So we'll say something like your role, your tone, and all the other things that we want to go through. And then here we have global functions, the knowledge base, and all the other details that I won't go through in detail here. And then here on the left, we can choose the AI model, which I always go with GPT-4.1 mini, which is a great balance between accuracy and price. And then here is the voice. So we can choose different voices from different providers, as we can see here. So we have 11 Labs, OpenAI, Cartesia. I found the 11 Lab ones to be pretty good, and we can sort them by gender. Let's say we do female, and then let's say we do British accent and the different types. And we can also listen to them, for example, this one. And if we like them, then we can come over here and click use voice and so on. But for this one, we will go with the default. We can also choose the language over here. So It's very practical. If your dental practice is non-English speaking, very good. All the voices have very good quality. And then we can set a welcome message. So user speaks first, AI speaks first. Let's see, the AI speaks first. And then we'll have a custom message, something like, hi, how can I help you today? Now, this is broadly the starting screen, and the magic happens over here in Edit Prompt Tree. So I will click this. And here we can actually define all these states that we had previously, right? So I'll quickly go back to Miro. So we can define steps for each of these transitions, right? And in this case, what we will do now is we will create, for example, here, one node for greeting and query selection. Okay, so then I will create a new state. I will drag it over here, and I will call this accordingly greeting query selection. All right, and then I would basically prompt it over here and say what the AI agent would do in this particular step, like your goal, and something like you'll politely ask the patient how you can help them today. And then something like you'll go through these 3 options. And then we'll say 1 would be answer question about queries, services. 2 would be delete an appointment. And 3 would be update an appointment, and so on and so forth. So we would map each of these steps, right? And then from this step, we would create 3 other steps. So 1, 2, 3, and each one would be the ones that we had previously. So then we would connect them. So we have the possibility to draw these edges over here, as you can see, and we will connect them just as we did over here in our Miro that we saw earlier, right? So we would have this one would go to this and then to this. Obviously, it's 2 of them. It's not 3. I got this wrong. So we can click this. We can press delete over here at the top, and then we will have these 2 stages. And then we will have also these edges. And these edges here, we can configure them. And we can say if the patient wants to query the services, this would be this state, and then we will call it query services. And then in this other stage, we will click this over here, and we will say the condition would be patient wants to delete or update appointment. And then we will call this also delete, update, appointment, and then so on and so forth. And then again, each step we would have to prompt separately. So you see it is very cumbersome, right? So coming up with this conversation flow that we had in Miro, high level, is very easy, but then the difficulty, or let's say the time consuming part, is getting into the nitty-gritty details of really configuring each of these steps inside of Retell, which is why we will use ChatGPT now to generate this file for us. And this is something that takes us, let's say 60% of the development time will be cut. So this is very, very efficient. However, this doesn't mean that there's still nothing else left to do for you, because obviously the ChatGPT generation of this file will still have hallucinations. So you will still have to come back to go through each of these steps basically and see if they're correctly configured. So that means that once the LLM has generated all of this, then you would still need to come here and check every one of these states, see if the prompt is correct, see if the transitions are correct, and so on. Now, I know that you're excited about this. Let's go and generate it directly via ChatGPT. So this step is done. I showed you a quick walkthrough, and what we will do now is generate the Retell JSON file and Airtable specification. All right. Now for this, we will go to the OpenAI playground, which is this thing over here. You will find it at the address platform.openai.com. I will share the link in the description below. And now please focus for a second on this left side thing over here, where we basically configure this AI agent. It is very similar to a custom GPT, but a lot more powerful. I can connect tools to it, and I can specify its behavior in a much more detailed manner. Okay, so let's see what the configuration parameters over here are. Here's a name that I can name it, so I can basically rename it and add the name that I want to it. And then here, this is the interesting part, the model. Okay, so the model I can select from any of OpenAI's models from the past, present, and so on. Now we go with GPT-5, which is the most powerful. And then over here, I can configure it. Okay, most of the times the defaults are okay. So the text format is okay. We go with text. Reasoning effort, medium, also good. Verbosity, medium, also very good. Tool choice, auto, very good. Now, what we want to do now is we want to come to Tools, click Add, and then over here, there is a tool called Web Search. Now I've already selected this, as you can see over here, and I will show you how to configure it. Also, we will go with the defaults, so nothing very special, but here it is just so that the agent that generates the JSON file has access to the API documentations of Airtable and Cal.com. So we will just leave the details, the defaults as they are. And then basically the interesting part happens over here in the developer message. So this is the system prompt. This is the prompt that governs this whole generation of the Retell JSON file. All right, you don't have to write anything down. I will share this complete file together with the Retell AI agent file in the description below that you can download for free and you can play around with it, okay? But now I'm going to walk you through this a bit, okay? So we will have the prompt written in Markdown format, so just like formatting a document, all right? Creating Retell multi-prompt agent, and this is the interesting part, example of past Retell multi-prompt JSON files. So here I give it past examples. So this is basically a file that I have exported from Retell and I have copied the content into the prompt here. Okay, so how did I do this? Let's quickly go back to Retell and I will show you how to export an AI agent. All right, we will go back to the dashboard quickly and there you will see how it is possible to export an agent. So we go here to the right-hand side and we see these three dots for your agent. We click them and then we click export, all right? And then in the export field, we can see this thing here. We just select, okay, the current version, and then we click export. And then we can download this to our local file system. And I will quickly open this so you can see how it looks like. Okay, so this is how the AI agent file looks like. So it ends with .json, right? And it is just a text file in this machine language JSON format, which right now isn't very long because I haven't basically specified anything else than basically it's just the new agent that I created earlier. And when you download this from an agent that you've already created, we can have a look at this multi-prompt agent that has various states over here, as we can see. And if I go to this one and if I download it, then it will look a whole lot different than the one that I just showed you. So it has all the state transitions, so we do the same thing. And we can see that it has a lot more text, right? So it specifies basically here, it specifies the general prompt over here, then it specifies all the states it goes through and so on. And I copied this inside of the prompt. Now I'm going to go back to the playground of OpenAI. This is what I showed you here earlier. So this is the whole file that I just copy pasted. So just like this, okay, select everything, copy paste over here. And in the beginning I said, okay, this is agent 1. And then I did the same thing with the other one, which I called agent 2. After it ended, I pasted the second agent. I pasted 2 agent files into the system prompt so that it has a bit of variation and it can see basically what kind of details, what kind of parts this JSON file has, okay? Now this is very long, but as you see, it's super easy. Like you don't have to understand what happens in this JSON file, okay? You just copy paste it and that's it. And then basically this way you have trained the LLM to generate these types of files. Okay, now let's skip to the next part, which is the interesting one where we prompt it on how to generate this. Okay, so I'm saying, okay, your role, and I say you're a Retell AI agent designer. Now I won't go through this whole prompt. You have access to it in the link below. But what I'm basically telling it here is that based on the specifications that I gave it and the files that I uploaded, so the Retell JSON format, it has to translate it and basically the specification that I'll give it to translate it into a Retell JSON. The specification is what the Retell agent should do. And then some more specification, make sure you understand everything and that is unambiguous and so on and so forth. These are just guardrails to make sure that the AI generates this file such that it has no errors and that it creates an AI agent that adheres to my specification. And then finally, the output format. And here I want to know 3 things, okay? Because I don't want only the AI agent, I also want a matching Airtable database schema so that I can just take this into Airtable and recreate the database there. So here in a way, we create 2 things at the same time. On the one hand, we create the Retell AI agent with all the API connections. We will see this in a second when it's being generated. And then we will see an API connection to Airtable with the perfect Airtable schema. And we can generate this in Airtable as well. So we get both of them. And this is basically what we will get here. You output an Airtable schema, and then you output a final JSON file. And also one possible demo scenario. Now, I take this as the system prompt. Okay, so this was just half of the fun, right? This whole system prompt. I also have a user prompt. So this is my specification, all right? Now, you can think of the system prompt as more like giving a role to the AI agent, making sure it outputs stuff in the right way. But the actual user prompt is what gives it the specification. Now, I will show you how to do this. I've already generated this because it takes around 3 to 5 minutes to generate this whole stuff. I also include the user prompt inside of the description below via the link, all right? And the point here is that you will take the system prompt as is. You don't have to modify anything, but then you take this user prompt here and you will modify it for every agent in the way that you need it. So let's say you design an AI voice agent for plumbers, then you will replace dental clinics with, let's say, plumbers, or you do it for law firms, then you replace it with law firms, and so on. So this is the part that you will have to change, right? And it goes in a similar way. It has a role. You're a conversation designer, right? For AI voice agents and so on and so forth. And then what your task is, you will help me design an AI voice agent. And then I will specify basically the parts that it needs to generate. So I will say, okay, all right, this part is wrong. It's from a different, because I have a template with this where I just replace each of these parts, all right? Then I specify, okay, what's in the database? Then I specify how it should create the conversation flow, and how it basically should create the Retell agent, that it should split it into various subblocks and so on. And this is the interesting part over here, the operation mode. So I will say, okay, if you don't know something, make sure that you stop and ask me, and then you don't make any assumptions. You'll ask me about what I've forgotten, and make sure to double check your answers for technical correctness and user friendliness, okay? So this is such that the AI agent, so the ChatGPT AI agent in this case, makes sure that the data is correct and that there's no error in this JSON file, because if there's an error in this JSON file over here, it won't be able to be imported into Retell, all right? But you will see this because you will get an error. Okay, so I ran this through ChatGPT, okay? I also specified the connection details to my cal.com and to my Airtable. So basically here, the cal.com is this meeting ID. You will get this by going to the cal.com page. So this is basically how the front page looks like, all right? Then you click up here on sign in. So if you've already have an account, then you can log in. Otherwise, you can create a new one. I will quickly now show you the dashboard. So this is how the dashboard looks like with all your events over here. And you then click on an event and you want to get this event type ID from the top here in the address bar. So it's like app.cal.com/event type/the event ID, okay? And this is the thing that you copy over here into this. So this is required for the API call that we will see later on. And then we will also have the Airtable base ID. So again, let's quickly go to airtable.com. This is how the dashboard looks like. And basically here you will then click on create. You will click on build an app on your own. And then at the top here, you will see again inside the URL, you have airtable.com/ and then there's app, and then there is one string. So you will copy this one into the prompt over here, right? So you make sure it's in here. This is an error. I have to delete this, but this is this part over here. And then I also included my API key. So here I redacted it, but you can get it by going to Airtable, and then you can click down here on your profile picture and you click on account. Here you click on API, go to Developer Hub, and here again, create token. And now you can create an API key by clicking create token again. And you can give it a name, like for example, you can call it Retell API key. And then what you'll do is you click add scope, and then you need data records read and data records write, this one. And then you click create token, and because I've already created one, it appears over here, and then you will just copy this part over here, basically when it's displaying, and that is your API key. So then you copy it over here. And this is such that the Retell agent that gets created has access to all of this knowledge and that it can correctly configure the API connections. At the end, after I specified everything, I also specified all other helpful web resources, where I included links to the cal.com API and to the Airtable API. And this is the reason why I needed to configure the web search tool. So over here at the top, if you see the web search tool here, this is why I needed it, because here I have links to the API documentation, right? So let's say that I open this, I get directly to the cal.com documentation. Okay, again, how did I get to the cal.com documentation? Very easy. I just go to Google and I search cal.com API documentation. And you will see it here, it's the first one. And then here on the left, I have all the methods that are possible with cal.com, so all the operations I can do. And obviously here, you already have to have worked with this API before. So the methods that we need over here is the one regarding the slots. So we go up here and we search for slots. So these are these pre-configured time blocks that we have if we go to somebody's cal.com homepage, which looks like this. So for example, this is mine. And if I click on today or on tomorrow, I can see the slots. So somebody can click on one of these and book a meeting. All right. So this is what we need over here. And this is basically the URL that we are interested in. I did the same with the Airtable API. Again, the same thing, very straightforward, just using Google. This is the page. And you can do this with any tool. You just search for the API documentation, and then here it is. And then here on the left, you see all the methods it offers. And what we were interested in is list records. So I just copied this link over here. So you can see list records, get record, update record, all here from the API documentation. So then the AI can access these pages. Now, this is what I did, and then it processed for a while. It needed a few more questions answered from me, which is okay. And then finally, this is the final output that it gave me. So you see, it is a long file, which is the JSON file. So this is what we want. This is our Retell AI agent, and this is how we generated it. And now what we do is we just copy this into a file. All right, so just copy all of this, copy paste, open up a new text file, okay? And you just paste this into the text file and call it something like aiagent.json. Okay, once you've done this, you go to Retell. Again, this is the dashboard, and you click import, and then you click choose a file. So now you choose the file that you just copied this AI agent in. So this is the AI agent that I just generated. You click save, and boom, no error. So it appears over here. It's called Dental Clinic Voice Demo, Voice Agent Demo. So I click it. And here it is, a complete AI agent generated from scratch. You remember we had the system prompt here, which is now very nicely populated with a very nice system prompt with the identity, the style, core rules, everything very neatly done. Now you have to go through this one more time because again, it can have hallucinations, and just briefly edit it. So this is just like vibe coding. It's not always perfect, like generating is just the first step, but it takes all of this cumbersome back and forth where you click all these arrows, connect them and so on. And also coming up with this from scratch. And I say, okay, this looks all good. Here I added a few more details like, okay, this is your name, Julia, and your clinic is called Next Dental Care. So here you can put your own name. And then I changed here the costume message. I said, okay, hello, this is Next Dental Care. You've reached the front desk and so on. So now you can do these changes, which is much easier. And we can see that it included the correct details. So for example, the event type ID was included from my answer in the prompt. Okay, let's quickly go back. I will show you where this was. So this is this part over here where I said, okay, this is the meeting ID, so this one, and this is exactly the one over here. So you see it was super smart to generate all of this based on my requests. And also it was smart enough to do all these logical flows. Like for example, for identification, it will use increasing difficulty, name, phone, and so on. Now, one detail that I forgot to tell you was that in the prompt, I also added a screenshot of this AI agent here that we just created in Miro. So I had this flow over here. And the screenshot that I included looked like this. So this is something that I created just before creating this one. And basically, these are all the steps that we already had. And I've included a few mental notes that I made. Okay, so these are a few things that it needs to go through inside the identification steps. And I uploaded this screenshot also inside of the prompt. And you can do this very easily here. So this API playground, as I said, is a bit more an advanced version of ChatGPT, if you like. So basically here is the prompt that I inserted that you saw earlier. And then I click here on this attach button. And then I attach this file and you can see it here. So then I can submit it and the LLM, so ChatGPT, has access to it and can read it. And now we will have a look at how this tree looks like. So we click on edit prompt tree and we will see, okay, this is how the AI agent looks like. Now, of course, all the states are a bit thrown into, like, they're not really well arranged. And then of course, the first 3 steps are query services, identify patient. Now we can see that it was actually a bit smarter than I was when I designed it in Miro. Now remember, in Miro we had just 2 steps in the beginning. We had this one and this one. And the LLM was smart enough to determine that there are actually 3 steps. So maybe the patient wants to go from the greeting step to the booking appointment step directly. So basically what it did is going from this step directly into the booking step, into this step over here. So this is the extra step that it included, which is very smart, which is this direct transition. And then basically from here, identify patient, it has 2 other steps. Basically the one that we had over here with update appointment and delete appointment. So these 2 over here, which is correct. And then again, it was smart to add a connection between it identify patient and book appointment. So it was smart enough to understand, hey, wait a minute, what if the patient initially says they want to update the appointment, but then they say, hey, wait a minute, actually I want to book a new appointment. Well, this is debatable. You have to see how your internal processes are, if you support this, but it should be possible, right? So it was smart enough to add this edge over here. And then these 2 are as we had them. So from query services to book appointment and end conversation. So we have it here. Query services goes to book appointment or directly here to end conversation, which is good. So overall, the AI agent looks as we have instructed it, which is very good. The LLM was smart enough to look at this picture and understand all the connections. Now, has it connected the right tools? This is now the difficult part. So let's have a look. We have a look first at the prompt. So we have a look at the first prompt. All right, start by greeting and asking what they need, offer these options, looks good, services, book new, reschedule, all looking good. Now let's have a look at the transitions. This edge, if the caller wants services, prices, query, okay. The other one, if they want to book a new appointment, go to appointment, looks good. And then if, what's happening here, wants to reschedule or cancel an appointment. Very good. So here it will go to identify the patient details. All looks very good. So it actually adhered to these transitions over here. So it was smart enough to see them and implement them, which is very good. Now, each of these states has their own prompt, which I won't go through in detail. You have access to this. You can download it and you can import it into your own Retell. So you have access to the complete AI agent, all the prompts, all the transitions, and you can inspect this step by step and adapt it to your own needs. Now let's have a look at the tools. So the first tool here is in query services. Okay, if we go back, we can see query services is connected to the Airtable database and it reads the services. So naturally, the LLM has generated just one connection here, get services. Now let's see what's happening under the hood. So we see that it got a name, okay, get services, description, list services. You may pass filter by formula, equal active to only fetch the active ones. Very good. By the way, we haven't generated the Airtable database yet. We will generate the Airtable database in a second. But first, let's see if all of this makes sense. So then it gets this API from this table. Let's see if it's the correct connection. So it's not the right connection because I had deleted the ground Airtable table before. So I will have to change this, but it doesn't matter. I will quickly do this. So I will have to change this for every API call to Airtable, which is not much. But otherwise, it has copied my API key over here, which is very good, and it all looks good. So I will click now update. Then I have a look at identify patient. Here we have two API calls. One is get patients and the other one is get appointment for patient. It's exactly what we had here. So if we go to identify patient, it has two API connections. It has one to search the patient and the other one to get appointments, right? So these two, which are two different ones. So let's have a look at get patients. So over here we have this, and it basically gets the patients and it says, okay, build progressively, name, then name and phone, then name and phone and email. So the point here is that, for example, if the patient says their name and there's somebody else with that name inside the database, then the API will return two entries, right? And then we want to narrow it down. So then we will go search by name and phone, all right? But most of the times there won't be two different people with the same name. So it means that the first API call should be just calling with the name, which should be fine, all right? And the other one is getting the appointments for the patient. Here we can see, okay, it lists the upcoming appointments, then again, filter by formula to match the linked patient and future start times. So it uses this formula that looks rather complicated, but it's not. So it's basically looking for this record ID and join all the patients that are not canceled and after today's date, which makes sense. So all is looking good. Now, obviously, I won't go through all of these steps now because it's out of the scope. Let's continue with first generating the Airtable database and then testing this step by step to see if everything is all right. So now let's go to Airtable, and basically we've created a new base as I showed you previously. I renamed it, and then I can use this AI agent over here. And here I can tell this AI agent to do things inside this base. So for example, create new tables, create entries and so on. And why am I doing this? Well, it's very cumbersome, again, to come over here and to edit everything by hand. So for example, here, name, then notes, then this doesn't make sense. So I have to delete this column over here and so on and so forth. So I have to create all of this data by hand, right? If we have a look at the result over here, we can see that it gave me an Airtable schema. So this was over here because I instructed it to give me in the beginning an Airtable schema. So here we have it like tables, which is patients, services, and appointments. So now I would have to come here and add them manually, like add a new table, and then configure all these fields, name, phone, email. Okay, so for example here, right, name, then I would call this phone, right, then I will call this email, right, I will go here, email, and so on and so forth. And then I would have to change the type, and so on and so forth, right? So from here, I would go to email. But this is, again, very cumbersome, right? So all we do here is we want to accelerate how quickly we create these things. So now what I can do, I can just come to this prompt. I can just copy the whole Airtable schema. I just copy it here, and I will just say, okay, I'll paste it, and then I'll prompt it. So again, I'll prompt this just like I would do ChatGPT, right? And I will say, I want you to generate the below tables for a dental practice. A dental practice is internal CRM and booking system. And then I go to the end of the prompt and say, after you've generated this schema, I want you to come up with 5 plausible services that a dental practice offers. Generate these and add them to the table. And then we can also create some fictional patients. Also come up with fictional patients to fill in the patients table. Use 10 entries. Use English sounding names. And then also to round it up, create 3 appointments in the appointments table for some of these patients. Okay, and now it's processing, and now we expect it to create all of these things for us. And we can see that it is thinking just like ChatGPT does, like generating new tables and fields. It determines the right data types that it needs and so on. And now it updates it. And we can see that it has created these 3 tables, and it also very nicely shows me with this blue border here what has changed. So patients, services, and appointments. And if we have a look, the patients have the right fields, name, phone, email, notes, so exactly the ones that I've specified. And then a few services, the services table also has the correct columns, and the appointments also. Now, let's see, now it's generating a few data records, you see, so it's very nice. You can see it building everything in front of your eyes. So this is very powerful over here. We can see that the patients have been created with phone numbers, emails, notes, then a few services have been created, and whether they're active or not with some prices, and then the appointments. Well, these haven't been created, so we can reprompt it again. Generate 3 appointments for some of the existing patients and populate them in the appointments table. So I've prompted it to do this now. This first initial table we don't need, so we click delete, which is very good. So now we can see here that the appointments table have been populated, and we can see the IDs, status, and all the other details that are required. And here basically we can see that these are links to the actual patients, for example, all right? So these aren't just normal, let's say, text entries. These are links. So you can think of Airtable like Google Sheets, but a bit more powerful. So this is like a VLOOKUP, if you like, and it directly links here. And I can open this. I can see its appointments, and then basically every record is connected to the respective other ones. So we can again clean this a little bit. We can delete these first records that basically are empty. And once we did that, we are pretty good to go with a completely generated Airtable table, which looks pretty good now. So now it's time to give this a try. We quickly come back to our outline here. So we generated the retail JSON file and Airtable specification. We are good with this, so we can strike this through. And then we have the generating the schema in Airtable. This is what we did just now. So we are pretty good with that. And now comes the, let's say, more difficult part, testing this AI agent via text and phone, because this is where it can break, and it probably will break now. So I have this, again, this agent here that is connected to this database over here. Okay, and it has access to these 3 tables, patients, services, and appointments. And now I want to test each of these steps. I want to query services, then I want to book an appointment and update and delete my appointment once it's created. And I will also follow it in my calendar to see if all the data is correctly entered, because obviously I expect a calendar invite from cal.com. So just to make sure the same problem with the dynamic variables doesn't happen again, I will just quickly add these 2 variables over here so that we make sure that the local date and time and UTC time difference and requested day is being used. I'm gonna say, okay, I go with Thursday. So let's keep this in mind. We go with Thursday. So now we start the chat with, I want to change an appointment. So now it will look into the database. It transitioned to identify patient, which is good. And it asks me for my name. I'm providing my name, and now it will look all the appointments into the database. It will look them up. It has found me as a patient, which is good. And then it has found the appointments, also 1 appointment. So this is this one over here for the teeth whitening. And now it asks me, okay, it's scheduled at 12 p.m. local time, which is correct. And if I look into my calendar, it is also correct. So it's this appointment at 12 p.m. And I will say, when would you like? So it asks me when I want to reschedule. And I say, because we have specified this over here in the dynamic variables, we want to stick with it. So the 2nd of October is a Thursday. So we will just say, okay, let's go with Thursday. How about Thursday, 11 a.m. So now it will go from identifying the patient to asking for the date and time. It asks me, okay, can you confirm the date? Is it October 2nd or October 9th? And I say, it's October 2nd. Now it has checked the availability and it has got a few results, which is good. And probably it has seen that there is an availability. Yes, it is. So we can continue. I quickly have to change this because I've changed the booking in the meantime. So the booking UID was changed in the database without me having updated it into the dynamic variables. So let's quickly redo this step. And I say 2nd of October. I'm asking what's the status. Usually when you reset the test like this, and it has rescheduled the appointment successfully. So we can see here the tool call where it reschedules the booking inside cal.com, where we see, okay, success, looks good. Cal.com also gives us a new UUID for the booking, and we can see this here inside the calendar. It was rescheduled here Thursday at 11 a.m., which is correct. And then at the same time, it was also rescheduled inside of Airtable. So we can see this here. It was successful. And we can see that inside Airtable, we have the new UUID of cal.com, which is this one. So we have a look, and is this one is the same. We can see here it was rescheduled for October the 2nd at 11 a.m. local time. So we can see that this also went well. And now let's do the third thing, which is we want to delete this appointment. So I will start a new chat here, and I will say, I want to delete my appointment. So then it goes to the next step where it wants to identify me. It asks for my full name, so I'm giving it my full name. And now it tries to find me inside the database just with the update scenario. And it says, okay, it has found one appointment on October 7th at 11 a.m. It is correct. So do you want this to be canceled? And I say yes. Now, of course, it says the appointment has already been canceled because I haven't updated the UUID here. So I will quickly do this, but of course, this isn't necessary in production. So I will quickly copy the new UUID in here, and we will start a new test. And I say, please delete my booking. Then I will tell it my full name. I confirm that I want to delete this appointment. And now it has the correct value here inside the dynamic variables. Okay, there's a technical issue. Let's see what the problem is. So it was successful here in deleting the cal.com appointment. And now it wants to cancel the appointment for the Airtable database. And of course, here is a problem. There's the ID over here. So it is a misconfiguration inside of the Airtable API call. But we can see that here in our calendar, the appointment was deleted. So it was this one over here. So it's not there anymore. So we just have to find the issue with the Airtable API. So the issue is basically that it adds this ID here inside the request body, which is not what we want. So obviously this is the problem here, invalid request unknown. So the parameter is unknown, parameter validation failed, but still here, the API specification is correct. So I added this extra clause here, important, don't include the extra field ID in the request body. It's not even mentioned in the API. Let's see if it works now. So we will need to save this test again, and we will save this as delete appointment. And we need to restart the test because it doesn't load the new prompts on the fly. So we will load it here, and we will go back to that part, and it needs to be able to delete the Airtable appointment as well. So we are here, I confirm. Now, of course, it will try to also cancel the cal.com appointment because it doesn't know that it was already canceled. So it's okay if I get an error in this sense. So we will just go to the Airtable record and see, okay, this time it hasn't included the ID, and the result was, okay, successful. So we quickly jump to Airtable and we can see, okay, let's refresh. There it is, canceled. It was updated faster than I could refresh. And here we can see that it's basically canceled. So when the dentist comes in, it can see, okay, the status is canceled. It can filter for only status that is not canceled. And basically, when we look back, obviously the cal.com API request was faulty because obviously we have already cancel that booking, but it's fine. So now we can see that we did the whole package. We created an appointment, we updated an appointment, and we deleted an appointment, all between cal.com and Airtable, switching and passing all the IDs and so on and so forth. Now let's have a look at what else there is to do. We quickly go back to our Miro. We tested our agent via voice and text. Now, the last thing we need to do is we need to connect our phone number via Twilio. So what we'll do now is we go to twilio.com. This is how the dashboard looks like. And if you don't have an account yet, you can create one. So you click on login here at the top, or start for free. So I will go to login because I already have an account. Now I'm going to log in with my details. Now that I'm logged in, this is how the dashboard looks like. And the first thing you need to do is go and buy a phone number. So you go here to the left where you see phone numbers, and then you click on manage. And then here you can click on buy a number. So this is how the menu looks like. So we will go to buy a number, and here you can choose the country you want to buy the number from. So let's just pick the standard default one, US, and we can basically buy any of these, and they cost the same. It's $115 a month. I will click on buy, and then I will agree here. And then when I click buy, buy, it will be bought, but I already have a number for this. So I will show you how it will look like once I bought it. So I will have a dashboard like this, and the number will look like this. So this is the number configuration dashboard, all right? Now what we have to do is, for retail, we have to create a SIP trunk. A SIP trunk is a technology that basically routes phone calls from the public phone system into the cloud, into the internet, and connects it to your retail instance, and also back outgoing calls from retail into the public phone system. So we have to connect these two back and forth. So for this, I go here to voice, and then I click overview, and then here below on the bottom there is elastic SIP trunking. So I click on there. Now I've already created a SIP trunk, but what you will do is basically click this plus over here, create a new elastic SIP trunk, and then you will see a dashboard like this. So this is my SIP trunk that I use. You just give it a name, and then you will basically have to configure these buttons over here, and basically termination and origination. So these 2 points are very important. I will show you a resource in a bit where you can see how to set these. So you go to termination, and basically what you need is to set a termination SIP URI. Okay, this sounds technical, but I mean, you have to go through this, and you just pick a name for it. So basically your company.pstn.twilio.com. And these are the details that you later on will insert into retail. Okay, and then the same for origination. So termination means the calls that go from retail into the public phone system, and origination mean they come from the public phone system, right? So this is also explained here. Then you basically also have to create a new origination URI, and basically this is the data that you need to insert from retail. So let's quickly open retail and go back to the dashboard. And here you have this part here, phone numbers. Now you can also buy a phone number from retail. You can see here, buy your new number or connect your number via SIP trunking. So you click on connect via SIP trunking, and basically these are the details that you have to configure. So the phone number, which is the one that you will buy, then the termination URI. So you basically paste here in, so this will be your new phone number, and then the termination URI will be the one that you find over here. So this is basically this URI that you created. So in this case is nextop.pstn.twilio.com. You can also use localized URIs. So if you're in one of these regions, then you can use one of these, but this is important where your server is. And in this case, retail is in the US, so it is all right to pick that US number, the termination SIP URI. So let's just say you copy this one like this, you paste it over here, then the SIP trunk username and password. So this is basically here where you can configure an access to it so that only you know the username and password. Okay, so you will basically choose a username like username, and then password, let's say password, and then you click create, and then these are the ones that you enter here, right? Username, password, and then a nickname, something like my SIP trunk. Okay, now where do you find all the nitty-gritty details to get there, right? Because I won't dive deep into this. So you just Google for retail Twilio SIP trunk. And Retail has a very nice page on their documentation where they explain you all of this. It's this one. So it explains you where to set all of these settings that we just saw, right? And what to switch on and off, which is super practical. You will learn all of the details that you have to input, and it's not much. It's probably at most 6 or 7 fields that you have to set, all very neatly explained. I will also include the link to this document page into the description below, so you can have a look at all of this and how to configure it very, very easily, both on the Twilio side, so everything over here, and termination and origination, and also what to insert inside of retail, inside all of these fields that I just showed you, okay? Everything's super easy, okay? But now I'm going to focus on how to connect the AI agent with the phone number, right? We can see here that once you connect a phone number, there are these fields, inbound call agent and outbound call agent. And by the way, you just have to connect the phone number once and then you're set. You don't have to touch the SIP trunk configuration ever again. So this is good news. And then the only thing you need to do is to configure which agent it uses. Okay, so for this one, I will just use the dentist one. So I will click on this one. Okay, it's draft. I will publish it in a second, and then I will use for the outbound also this one. You also have to publish the agent first. So I go back to the agent and I go back here to my list. I have to open it and then I just click publish and I see, okay, this is already connected here, and I just click publish. So the number is already connected, but obviously you want to publish the agent before you accept any inbound call. There is one last configuration point that you need to do in Twilio. Once you're on the dashboard of your active number that you want to use, you need to select that you want to use that SIP trunk, and you can see it over here. So when a call comes in, then it either executes a webhook. So this is connected to a different agent that I have in voice flow that I have in a different video. So you have to select this point here, configure with webhook and so on and so forth. You click on it and then you click on SIP trunk. And then once you click on SIP trunk, you select that one SIP trunk that you want to use. And then you are all set. At the end, don't forget to click Save Configuration. And now everything is set because Twilio is basically your connection point to and from the outside world, all right? So Twilio has to decide what way the agent is connected. Now we call it and we
Hello, this is Nick. Hi, how can I help you today? Are you calling about our services, booking a new appointment, rescheduling, or canceling an appointment?
Hey, so I want to schedule an appointment for teeth cleaning. What services do you have there? Maybe you can give me some overview first.
We have several services. The top three are emergency visit for 120 euros.
Yeah, but I
Billing
mean in
one
terms
service.
of teeth cleaning.
For teeth cleaning, we offer routine cleaning. It takes 45 minutes and costs 150 euros. Would you like to book an appointment for that now?
Yeah, let's go.
Great. When would you like to come in for your teeth cleaning?
All right, so I've hung up because you've already seen this demo. So we've also finished the last point, buy and connect a phone number with Twilio. And what we basically saw today is how to build an AI voice agent for a dental clinic that does the whole package. It accepts bookings, it changes bookings, and it deletes bookings, just like a real concierge would do or like a front desk. To quickly recap what we did, we started with a conversation design in Miro, where we went through all the steps that the high-level design has. And we came up with basically 3 conversation flows. One that answers queries to services and books appointments, then one that updates the appointments, and then one that deletes the appointments. And then we also connected all of these services to the different APIs. So we have an Airtable API and we have a cal.com API. The Airtable API stores the CRM information and the services of the clinic, and the cal.com API sends the calendar invitations to both the patient and the dentist. The novel thing that we did was we didn't stitch together this agent by hand, but instead we configured it to be auto-generated by ChatGPT. And for this, we came up with this very long prompt that I will share in the description below. And this long prompt is the system prompt that is trained with previous JSON files for Twilio, so that it knows exactly which parts are needed for a JSON file in Retell. And then we prompted it with the parts that we wanted it to generate. Plus we added the API components, which are URLs to the actual documentation. And then we also had a user prompt where we uploaded exactly our specifications. So what exactly should the AI agent do, how the conversation flow should look like, and we let ChatGPT come up with the flow. Plus, we uploaded a screenshot of this Miro dashboard, so it's this one, so that ChatGPT can see how the high-level overview looks like and generate a flow that is very similar. Once we've had that, we came to Retell and we uploaded it, we imported it over here, import and choose file from local storage. And then once we opened it, we saw that it has all the specifics that we needed: identity, style, the main prompt, and then also the tree over here that we obviously needed to rearrange a little bit, but 90% of the prompts and the tools were already pre-configured. So we just had to come here and change a few details. Once we've done that, we came to Airtable and we used Airtable's own AI agent to come up with this database schema so that we didn't have to configure it manually. And the database schema contained the patients, the services, and the appointments. And we saw that once a proper schema schema is set up, it is fairly easy for the AI to work on it. Then finally, we tested the AI agent over here via text first. Testing via text is much more cheaper because it doesn't require the speech to text and text to speech conversion. So this is a very cheap way of testing it. And we also tested here via audio. So Retell has these two modalities to test it. And once we did that, we went over to Twilio and bought a new phone number over here that we then configured via a zip trunk and finally added it back here into Retell inside the phone numbers and configured it. I include a complete link to the document of the Retell documentation that explains exactly how to configure it, because unfortunately this is out of the scope of this tutorial. Now, if you enjoyed this video, this is part of a 30 AI agents in 30 days challenge where every day I put out a new AI agent in a different industry with text, voice, and show exactly step by step how I build it. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on the new videos that I put out. And if you or somebody else wants to build such an agent in their own business, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to hear about your use case. You can find my contact details below. Also, don't forget to comment on this video and tell me what you liked about it, what you would want to see in the future, what new agents and what new industries do you want to explore. And until the next one, cheers.